Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk all things about self help and how it can help us transform our lives. So, my name is Nikhil. I am a mindfulness based life coach and therapist and a transformation coach. So, today, what we are going to talk about is happiness. Happiness. What does it mean? Why do we require it? And where does it come from? So, we'll explore all these concepts. So we think about whether happiness and purpose are interconnected. Happiness is such an overloaded term. I'm not even sure sometimes we mean what we mean when we say happiness. So, happiness is more about being content in this moment. It's about the joy of being present right here, right now. If it's your internal compass, the thing you most want to do, then sure, you'll be happy doing it. Doesn't matter really. So if your internal compass says you want to be a lawyer and you are aligned in saving and protecting people's lives, yes, you will get up and be happy doing it. Whereas if your internal compass is not aligned in that manner, you will not do it. So what does it mean to be happy? But another another side point is like an external inflicted purpose, like these people want me to do this. So our parents obviously do that, or did that, maybe not all parents. uh, some do, some don't, but doesn't matter who does it. It might be from things you have taken away from other people. Things like I should be this, I should have been that, I should graduate top of my class, which sometimes doesn't happen. So sometimes we associate achievements to happiness, and our identity also gets messed up. So I think a lot of us have this low level pervasive feeling of anxiety. If you pay attention to your mind, sometimes you're just running around doing your thing and you're feeling great, and you notice your mind is chattering and chattering about something. We don't know. Maybe you can't sit still. So we are so not attuned with ourselves that we don't even know what happiness means. Tell me this, how many times in a day do you sit just by yourself and do nothing and be happy about it? I mean, in my dark days, that never used to happen. Now I'm able to manage it a little bit more better. But I'm never saying it's not a challenge. Constantly we are on, or we need to get engaged on our phones or do these sessions. So I'm not sitting still right now. I'm actually creating a podcast, which hopefully can help people sit still. That's a different story. But the point being, how many times do we sit still, just not doing anything? In the society, we kind of think of it as a failure. If you don't do anything, then what is the point? And what I'd like to say is, like, in those moments is when you reflect, when you learn, when you actually engage with yourself. Those are the powerful transformational moments of happiness. But we are not conditioned that way. It's always the next thing, and the thing after. So it just keeps going. How many times do we feel bored and then suddenly a thing shows up, or some of your friends turn up and then they say we can go here, and then suddenly your happiness is back, whereas you were already happy in that moment. So it's just understanding what happiness means is a long journey. It's not as obvious. There are tricks. There are short-term happiness, pleasure-seeking behaviors which we all succumb to. That's not what I'm talking about here. This is more about the general well-being. How happy are you? So, how is it linked with your purpose and vision for your own life? How And the other thing which comes up usually in these conversations is about our own anxieties about happiness, etc. And sometimes we fear it. We fear being happy because we know that if we are happy, then suddenly after being happy, there is going to be a downside. And why do we think like that? It's all conditioned. It's not something we have been uh, genuinely working on, but it's just conditioned. So would I be having this thought right now, or would I just be happy? So when you think about in that sense, like just this moment, would you be happy right now? What is stopping you from being happy right now? When you ask these questions to your subconscious mind, it starts to find answers. That's what it does. That's what the minds do. So if you ask these questions, what does happiness mean to me? What is my purpose? Am I aligned? These questions are so profound that your subconscious starts to dive deep and bring you things. How many times have you noticed this? This is like a common example where you buy a new phone and then you see that phone everywhere because you programmed your mind to say that this is important, this is my purpose, this is what I want. And then you see that same phone because your mind thinks it's important, it wants more of it. And that is exactly like training our mind to be calm and be able to sit still. If we train our mind to sit or be still doesn't mean just you're not moving anywhere. It's just stillness means is an aspect of mind that is where we can be present with whatever is happening with dignity and with alertness, and you can be there fully. That's what stillness means. So if you practice this stillness and tell your mind that this is very important, just like that phone, then it starts to find ways in which you can be still in situations. So yeah, so that's what we try to do. Like we go on these wellness journeys or to find happiness. Like lately we went to a spa, and the idea of a spa is very interesting for me. uh, it's a place it was a place in a hotel which is already busy for people to just relax. By relax I mean drink champagne and just sit in a sauna or heat room. That's what wellness has come to be. Wellness is so monetized that we don't even know what sitting still means anymore. If we are sitting still and not on the phone or not doing any of these spas, then you are not well, is what we are told. So, my question to you all is, in those situations where you have to do stuff, how happy are you? So, coming back to the spa example, I go there and then there is this. Obviously, it's a kind of you have to pay money to get there, and then there is like a space where it's just a dark room, and there are two beds, and then you just sleep, and you pay 20 pounds or 200 rupees or whatever. You just pay to sleep in this bed for 20 minutes in the name of meditation, and then I can still understand these things are important and why people are attracted to it, because that just it's just another thing to do. Wellness became another thing to do. So that's what I think we want to introspect in this episode is, what does it mean? What does it mean to find that purpose within you? What does it mean to have stillness? A happy person isn't someone who's happy all the time. This is another example of, or a misunderstanding, is somebody who understands what is going on and does the right thing and is aligned to their inner values. That's a happy person. They might be very clear on that, and they might not even look happy. By what look happy means is like our own projections of what happiness means. If people smile, that means we assume they are happier than people who don't smile. This is just a bias. This is not true at all. So we presume people are certain way, because we created these inner conditions amongst ourselves. So we don't even know what happiness looks like. And on top of that, we don't even know what happiness looks like for ourselves. So that's what is catching me off guard, is the desire to be unhappy is what is driving happiness. So you get the desire for what you want, and then you don't get it. You feel disheartened, and then you do something to make yourself happy. And this is all external. And this is fundamental in a lot of wisdoms, a lot of cultures. So it's not something we it's not something we don't know. And that's the most important. That's like the most funniest thing. We know this intuitively. You know it, I know it, and yet we don't practice it. Or yet we don't get help. There are people out there who are genuinely trying to help people in raising this their awareness of what is possible. And oftentimes we don't use those because we feel shame. That's not true. That's not true. We are all addicted to short-term pleasures, the joy of dopamine hit, as we call it. It happens because dopamine is not what people think it is. Dopamine is not a pleasure hormone. It is a seeking hormone. It it's a movement hormone. It is something which triggers some action to get that place. Let me just paint a picture. When we were in the when we were roaming the forests in maybe 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, dopamine was such an intrinsic part of our survival that it triggered certain happiness for us to chase or get some things which help us survive. So the fruits or the trees which bear fruits, we found that getting to that place needed some inner compass. So dopamine started to reward us in the form of pleasure seeking experiences to move us to get that stuff which helped us survive. So that's the essence of dopamine. So this is same with your phone. It's like you are moved to do something to get some reward, and that's all dopamine does. So we and it's also like it's got a limited number of receptors in our brain if you go on it to technically, but it's the idea is like it's limited. So once you run out or once you uh, over overindulge, then you need to reset. We need to start to stop. And again, this is where happiness comes in. It's like happiness is not chase, happiness is the moment. So, what I'd like to say in terms of what we can do about it, we should self realize, self make, self actualize, self use self help. So, not in the self help sense of like, oh, I want to help myself to get certain things. Start to go inward, start to look at yourself, start to be 2 minutes with yourself, just 2 minutes, and see what happens. No distractions, no headphones, no headphones, no phones, no TV, just you, no nice music, nothing. Just you and your thoughts in a place where you're comfortable for 2 minutes. Let's try that. So that's our practice for today. So let's go out there, find out what happiness means, and then come back and report and see what that means for you. What does happiness mean for you? So for me, it's just being in the moment. And what does it mean for you? So take this away. Uh, And yeah, I would like to hear what you think about all this and more. So yeah, keep tuning in. My name is Nikhil, and thank you for being part of this podcast series, Me, My Self Help, and I, where I dive into all the self help topics, shelf help topics, because we have actually never used any of it because we put it in the shelf. I want to bring it back. I want to use it. I want to uh, learn and grow as much as you do. So I would like to bring that to you as much as possible in these sessions. So that's me. So take care. See you next time. Bye.